What's up, guys? Welcome back to Diving into Basketball. Now, today we're going to be doing our final mock draft before the actual draft happens on Thursday. So, in this video, we're going to be doing the entire mock lottery. And to start, we're going to stick with the same guy who I've been saying for months now is going to be the best guy from this draft and who is the best fit for the Suns. And that is Mohamed Bamba. I'm still completely high on him because he's got the longest wingspan in NBA history. No one's ever, or in the history of the combine anyway, no one's ever measured longer arms, not even Rudy Gobert, who should win Defensive Player of the Year this year. Bamba has the defensive instincts, Bamba has the motor, Bamba has the speed and the athleticism as a big man. Bamba has the potential to be one of the best two-way players, certainly one of the best in the league, and possibly even one of the best two-way players the league has ever seen. And for all of those reasons, I think he's the best fit for the Suns. So for this second pick, we actually have a trade. The Sacramento Kings decide to get rid of Zach Randolph's terrible contract and trade down in the draft. So they trade the second pick and Zach Randolph for the sixth pick, Jonathan Simmons and Jonathan Isaac. And now that the Magic have the second pick, they're going to go ahead and take Luka Doncic. Doncic is you could call him a point guard, you could call him a point forward. He's 6'8", he's got the best vision in the draft, and he can also score, he can shoot pretty well. He's going to end up opening things up for the Magic's roster and allowing their big men to catch passes from Doncic and then have more space to operate with better spacing on the court. People have raised concerns about Doncic's athleticism, but I tell those people, go look at Steph Curry. He doesn't have otherworldly athleticism, and he's a multiple-time MVP. So I think the Magic are going to end up taking Luka Doncic. So with the third pick, the Hawks are going to go ahead and grab themselves DeAndre Ayton, who is going to immediately start at center for them. He should provide them some good scoring in the paint. He'll get them rebounds. If he works hard, he could be a defensive anchor for them. Considering people consider him the consensus top pick, the Hawks are thrilled to find him all the way down here at 3. I personally don't think he's going to be very good, but other people have different opinions, and I'm very confident the Hawks are not going to pass up on a player of Ayton's caliber at 3. So with the fourth pick in the draft, the Grizzlies are not willing to give up on their current roster. They're still looking at their roster, and they're going, okay, if we get a healthy season out of Conley and out of Gasol, we draft smartly, we get a high-level free agent or two, then we have a team who can make the playoffs for a couple more years, and we can ease the transition. So what they're going to end up doing is taking Marvin Bagley, who's already completely ready to play at the NBA level. He's going to give them really good scoring in the paint. He's got the potential to be a good shooter, which they're going to allow him to work on. His issues with defense are going to be helped cover by the veteran Marc Gasol, who's going to step in and protect the rim so Bagley doesn't have to. And this is going to let the Grizzlies keep contending, or after missing a season, they'll get back to contention. And then it lets Bagley grow up and be mentored by Gasol. And so when Gasol and Conley either retire or just move on to a different team, they've got Bagley there who's already ready to help out and step up and lead the team, having been mentored by a really good player. So with the fifth pick, the Mavs are going to go ahead and grab themselves Jaren Jackson Jr., who is a 3-and-D big man. He's going to immediately step in. He's going to help protect the rim for them. He'll stretch the floor. Hopefully he'll be able to learn from Dirk some of Dirk's old tricks. And he should help step in and do all the things so that Dirk doesn't have to carry any heavy workload while the Mavericks treat him to the best final season they can give him after Dirk's given everything to that franchise. Jackson can hopefully be, maybe not, a leading scorer, but he could help be a role player and block tons of shots, catch and shoot threes, score some in the paint, maybe if they ask him to, and just be an all-around really solid player, filling in all the things on the edges that every championship team needs. So the Kings, you might recall, traded down for the sixth pick, and they're going to go ahead and take Michael Porter. In my last mock draft, I actually had them taking him at 2, because I feel like they've already got some, good young guards, De'Aaron Fox and Buddy Hield. They've got some big men, so they're not going to add in another big man, so they're going to add in a wing scorer. And the best one on the board is Michael Porter. I thought they could draft him at 2. I think they'll be very happy to get him at 6. What he gives them is a good scorer who could, at his best, draw all the attention of the defense, be like 20, 25, maybe even 30 point a game guy. And as long as the Kings can be completely sure that Porter is completely healthy and that his back issues aren't going to give that his back isn't going to give them any lingering issues, because he only played 3 games this year with back injuries. Then he almost had to cancel one of his workouts with like muscle spasms. So as long as they can be sure that he's completely healthy, they're going to go ahead and take him. So at 7, the Bulls find themselves looking for a rim-protecting big man who can, fill in with what Lauri Markkanen can't do, which is protect the rim and score in the paint and be a big inside presence down low. And since Jackson and Ayton and Bamba are already off the board, they're going to go ahead and take Wendell Carter, who was a really good rim protector at Duke. He got 2 blocks a game, and he altered several more. I remember because I watched every Duke game this year. And every time Duke would go on a run, it was because Wendell Carter was there in the paint and no one could score around him. He's a really good paint scorer. He can shoot threes if he's wide open, although he shouldn't really be thought of as a shooter right now. He's always going to end up, what he's always going to do for you is he's going to make the winning play. He's willing to go down and do the nitty-gritty, dirty stuff. And every championship team needs one of those guys who's kind of behind the scenes, cleaning up after everyone else, doing what he's asked to do, but doesn't need to be that flashy, out there, give me the ball and let me do my thing type player. So at 8, the Cavs are going to grab Mikal Bridges, who is a 3-and-D wing. If they somehow manage to convince LeBron to stay, maybe opt into his player option, which I could see him doing in order to explore a better free agent market next year, then Bridges gives them a ready-to-win player. He's coming off a championship win at Villanova. He'll be able to defend people. He shoots threes really well. If you ask him to score, he can score. If you don't need him to score, then he'll just be there quietly, wide open, making all the dirty plays. I've talked about this with several other players, but you think about it, every championship team has that one player who's on the ground, diving after those loose balls, making the plays behind the scenes. The past couple of years, it's been Draymond Green. And Mikal Bridges can add to the Cavs a versatile player who doesn't need the ball, sort of in that mold. So at 9, the Knicks grab themselves a point guard who is probably the best shooter in this draft. He's a really good playmaker, and if he can overcome the physical limitations that he has, he's tiny, he's 6'1", he doesn't weigh very much. But if he can overcome that, he could be a really good scorer and really good player for this Knicks team. And in that Knicks backcourt with Frank Ntilikina is going to cover for Trae Young's defensive liabilities, because Ntilikina is actually a really good defender himself. And then Trae Young is going to add the shooting and playmaking that Ntilikina can't really provide. And then hopefully Trae Young, who has gotten used to the spotlight, can thrive in New York, which is one of the biggest stages in the game. So at 10, the Sixers go ahead and grab Robert Williams, who's going to give them a good rebounder who's going to come off their bench. He's going to sub for Dario Saric and Joel Embiid. He could potentially give them like a good defensive player to have off the bench. He'll give them energy. If they're really worried about J.J. Redick leaving them, they might want to draft Lonnie Walker here. But if they're convinced that they can keep him, then Robert Williams is the high upside player that they're looking for, because they can afford to, miss on a player at this point. They don't need to take a solid player who they know might not have the highest ceiling, but also has a pretty high floor. But what they can afford to do is go for a high-risk, high-reward player, and Robert Williams is the best one on the board at this point. So I'm still completely convinced that the Hornets are going to blow up their roster. You can't convince me otherwise. They've been like a step below the playoffs for far too long, and there's no way they can add enough talent to this roster to build a championship contender, which is what everyone wants to do in this league. So they're going to blow up their roster. They're going to trade away Kemba Walker. And so they're going to draft themselves Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's a point guard, who has a great size for a point guard. He's got lots of potential. He's good, good athleticism, good playmaking, and hopefully he could be the point guard of the future for the Hornets. And they're hopeful that he'll develop a lot next year when he's going to be given the complete reins to a non-existent offense. So for 12 and 13, we have our second big trade of this lottery, which is that the Clippers flip Tobias Harris 12 and 13 to San Antonio and get back Kawhi Leonard. So San Antonio, with 12 and 13, is going to take Lonnie Walker and Kevin Knox, which gives them some good young players on the wing. Lonnie Walker is a long-armed, great shooting guard with great athleticism from Miami, who, if he didn't shoot well in college, showed the potential to shoot well in high school. And if any organization can fix someone's jump shot, it's San Antonio. They've done it time and time again. Kevin Knox gives them another player on the wing with good athleticism from Kentucky. He is probably the best scorer on the board at this point. And he gives the Spurs, who are kind of, a slow, quiet organization, he gives them a lot of flash, and he's going to help, hype things up. And then once you've got that hype, then you've got the crowd into it, you get your teammates into it. That just gives people more energy, which I think is what the Spurs need at this point. And finally, to wrap up this mock lottery, the Denver Nuggets are going to take Miles Bridges from Michigan State. He gives them a good small ball power forward off the bench who can back up Millsap and, slide over to the three when he needs to. He's versatile. He's got great athleticism. He could pretty much run the bench unit for them as a good scorer. They want to see more shooting out of him, but there's a chance he could shoot. He could slide to the three if they want to play Millsap, Jokic, and Bridges. And I think he's one of the higher upside players on the board at this point, and the Nuggets are hopeful that they're going to swing for the fences and end up with a player who will push them into the playoffs after having missed it just barely for 2 seasons in a row. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video when we are doing the next 6 picks in this NBA mock draft.